If you're kind of locked up, stuck in unforgiveness because there's hurt in your past, you think it's going to make you feel better to punish them and make them suffer. It's not going to make you feel better. It's going to keep you in bondage. You got to pursue freedom, and it comes through forgiveness. And all of you have probably felt this in some way. We see this unforgiving servant. He has an actual desire to inflict pain. If you look at there, verses 28, it says, when he wouldn't pay, he began to choke him. Now, this is crazy to me. And again, you think about the wealth disparity here, right? You think about the difference in the sum owed. The king forgave this guy, more than he could ever pay. And the king, who was exercising sort of his legal path to calling in his debts, he didn't resort to violence, right? But here this guy he's got his fellow servant and he's got his hands around his neck, choking him in an act of violence, and he tosses him in prison, all for money. And so we look at this guy, the unforgiving servant, and we say, he's in a really, really, really bad place. He's in a really dark place. I would almost guarantee you that this guy has pain in his backstory. I would almost guarantee you. We don't know his backstory. I would almost guarantee you that there's some pain there. We say it often, and it's true. Hurt people hurt people. He should have instead been generous and gracious and loving because he had just received so much grace and mercy. But yet he reverted back, and he resorted back to operating from and with pain. Sometimes pain comes from a wounded heart, right? Something happened and it just hurt really, really bad, and it leaves you kind of tied up, and it's really, really hard to break free. Sometimes pain just comes from an evil heart. I think that's probably what we're dealing with here with this guy. But nevertheless, pain always keeps you in bondage, but forgiveness sets you free. Forgiveness sets you free. I want to show you something. Turn over to 2 Corinthians chapter 2 actually. 2 Corinthians chapter 2. Paul, can you grab me my water? I always forget that water, sorry. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, and we're going to read just a couple verses here, verses 5 through 8. Now, let me give you a little backstory here. So a companion passage to what we studied last week is 1 Corinthians 5. Don't turn there. But in 1 Corinthians 5, you have this case study in church discipline. What's going on in 1 Corinthians 5? In the church of Corinth, there was a guy who was sleeping with his stepmom. I know, that's pretty bad, right? And so he's sleeping with his stepmom, and not only that, he's bragging about it, and everybody's kind of getting laughs about this, and so the church is really, really, really having a hard time with this, right? And so there's a lot of pain involved in the church. So they go through church discipline and they sort of expel the guy. And then at some point along the way, he repents. Now here's the chapter 2 of that story. 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 5. It says, now if anyone has caused pain, he's talking about that guy, right? The guy who was caught in sin. If anyone who has caused pain, and by the way, sin always causes pain, right? In your life, in the other person's life, in the community's life, in the family's life, in the church's life, sin causes pain. If anyone has caused pain, he has caused it not only to me, but in some measure, not to put it too severely, but to all of you. For such a one, watch this, the punishment by the majority is enough. In other words, the Corinthians, they followed his instructions about church discipline, and it worked. Verse 7, so you should now rather turn to forgive and comfort him, lest he be overwhelmed with excessive sorrow. So I beg you, this is Paul talking to a church who he just said, kick the guy out of the church. He's got to learn his lesson. When he repents, look at what he says now, verse 8. He says, I beg you, reaffirm your love for him. What is he saying? He's saying, don't let pain keep you from the freedom and the joy of forgiveness and reconciliation. Listen, if you're here and whatever your backstory is, if you're kind of locked up, stuck in unforgiveness because there's hurt in your past, you think it's going to make you feel better to punish them and make them suffer. It's not going to make you feel better. It's going to keep you in bondage. You got to pursue healing. You got to pursue freedom, and it comes through forgiveness. So that's pain number 5, and this one's easy to see in the story. Hypocrisy, right? In this unforgiving servant, we see this drastic, insufficient understanding of grace. We see this drastic, insufficient understanding of his status before the king. Now look very carefully back in our text, verses 32 to 35. This is the most important part of the message because it's when we get to the whole point of it. So the master summons him and says to him, "You wicked servant, I forgave you all the debt because you pleaded with me and you didn't have mercy on your fellow servant," right? Verse 34. In his anger, the master delivered him to the jailers until he should pay all his debt, which we know will never, ever, ever happen. So this guy, in so many words, is damned eternally. And that's kind of the point of the story. Look at verse 35. So also my heavenly Father will do to every one of you if you do not forgive your brother from your heart. See, there's an authenticity piece to this. The reality is that every time we name the name of Christ, but yet hold perpetual unforgiveness in our hearts toward a brother or a sister, we show our hypocrisy, do we not? We say, the gospel, it's great for me. It's my get out of jail free card, but the gospel is no good for you because you really screwed up and you hurt me. And the gospel doesn't work that way. The gospel, it's for everyone or it's for no one. That's the way it is. Jesus died once and for all. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever would believe in him would not perish but have everlasting life. And so don't miss Jesus' summary statement at the end of the parable. It's a serious warning. In so many words, he's saying, do you really get the gospel? Do you really understand what it means to be forgiven? That your sin, all of the weight of it was against a holy God. And like this guy who owes 10,000 talents, you could never, ever, ever make up for it or pay the weight of the consequence for it. Yet, in an extravagant act of mercy, you've been forgiven of your sin. And you've been set free. Do you really know what that means? Because it'll change how you relate to your fellow man. And so hypocrisy can keep us from unforgiveness. Well, let me just give you something really practical here as we close. So what do we do about this unforgiveness, right? And I think we've all been there, and maybe you're there today. And if you're struggling, you're watching online, if you're struggling with an unforgiving heart, what do you do about that? Let me give you 4 things, 2 of which you can do right now before you leave this room. The next 2 are going to take a little work. But the first 2 you can do right now before you leave this room. Very practically, here's how you break free. Here's how you get out of this state of unforgiveness. Number 1, just revisit the gospel, amen? Did you really get it? Go back and study the gospel again. Go back and hear the good news again. Jesus died for you. The perfect one who owed nothing, paid everything that you could never pay morally, and he set you free. That's the gospel. Revisit the gospel. Number 2, this one's going to sting a little. Pray for the other person. I mean, nothing will humble your heart like that. Just pray for the other person. Lord, I'm a sinner too. Help them. Help them. Awaken them. Bring them back. Pray for the other person. Number 3, this is very tangible, very practical. Number 3, write a letter. Now, I'm a big believer that there's a reason Paul wrote epistles, right? That means letter. I'm a big believer in epistles. Here's why. When you write a letter, it's not a 1 a.m. mad Facebook post. Don't do those, by the way. Zero spiritual fruit comes from that, right? It's not that. It's not a face-to-face, my emotions, I'm really frustrated right now, so I'm going to let you have it. It's not that. That's usually, unproductive, even though there's a place for getting it all out. There is. But really effective communication that brings positive movement forward and some kind of healing, I really believe in a letter. Here's why. When you write something, you think about what you say. How do I want to say this? What do I want to say? And here's the deal. This letter, it's for you. Maybe it's for the other person. Maybe. It might not be. But first and foremost, it's for you. The person you're writing the letter to, they may not even be alive anymore. You may not even have contact with them anymore. You may have no way to get the letter to them. That's okay. It's for you to articulate, I'm releasing this. I'm walking out of here with freedom. You write that letter, and then maybe you do give it to the other person and you communicate what's on your heart. But it's very, very intentional and thoughtful, and that's why I really recommend a letter. I've done it myself. And then number 4, this one is going to hurt like a flu shot. Serve the other person. I mean, nothing else is going to get you to the heart of the gospel and what Jesus has done for us in dying on the cross, like serving the very one you need to forgive. I'm not sure what that looks like. Again, there should be a safety component to that. It should be a healthy thing. It shouldn't enable bad habits or continue some cycle of abuse. But serving the other person in some tangible, small way, what it's doing is saying, I get it. I get the gospel. I've been set free.